Have you ever found yourself feeling distant from your partner, wondering where the love and connection went? If you're experiencing frustration in your marriage, you're not alone. In today's video, we'll explore the subtle yet profound changes that can shift the dynamics of a relationship, from shifts in behavior and health to the pressures of daily life. You'll learn about common struggles many couples face, like declining intimacy and unmet expectations, and discover practical strategies to rekindle your bond. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand the factors that can lead to dissatisfaction in a marriage, but also gain insights into how to navigate these challenges effectively. We'll share real stories from women who have experienced these struggles firsthand, revealing the emotions and thoughts that often go unspoken. You'll uncover valuable tips on fostering open communication, sharing responsibilities, and reigniting romance, ensuring you have the tools to strengthen your relationship. So, if you're ready to take charge of your marital happiness and reconnect with your partner, stay tuned. This is your chance to transform your relationship and create a fulfilling life together. Don't miss out on the insights that could change everything for you and your spouse. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. First, let's delve into the profound changes in a husband's behavior and habits that can shake the very foundations of a marriage. For instance, an increase in smoking may not just be a casual choice. It often reflects deeper emotional struggles or a sense of dissatisfaction with life. The lingering smell of smoke can become a constant reminder for the wife of the man her husband has transformed into, a stark contrast to the man she fell in love with, someone who was once vibrant, healthy, and engaged. Neglecting cleanliness may signal a growing apathy or a loss of self-respect, which can be heart-wrenching for a wife who dedicated herself to nurturing not only her family but also her partner's well-being. Coupled with a decrease in health awareness, these changes can trigger a wave of anxiety and stress for the wife, who is left to navigate the choppy waters of her husband's decline. As these changes unfold, the wife often feels as though she is living with a stranger, someone who bears little resemblance to the husband she once adored. This discomfort can insidiously grow over time, transforming into deep-seated dissatisfaction that colors her every interaction with him. She may begin to question the future of their relationship, feeling increasingly isolated in her worries. The emotional distance that arises from these behavioral shifts can deepen the chasm between the couple, making it nearly impossible to engage in constructive problem-solving. If the husband remains oblivious to the consequences of his actions, failing to reflect upon and reconsider his habits, the wife's patience may ultimately reach its breaking point. This can lead to a heart-wrenching and irreparable situation where the love they once shared feels like a distant memory. Next, let's examine the imbalance in the division of responsibilities that can manifest in a marriage. When household chores, childcare, and even the responsibilities of caring for grandchildren fall disproportionately on the wife's shoulders, it can create a profound sense of frustration and resentment. Despite her tireless efforts to maintain a functioning home and nurture her family, the lack of support from her husband can erode the respect and trust she once held for him. She may feel like a solitary warrior, battling through the daily grind without acknowledgement or partnership. This one-sided dynamic can breed a feeling of loneliness that, over time, becomes suffocating. The wife's frustrations may simmer beneath the surface, growing into an emotional volcano ready to erupt, leaving her feeling drained and unappreciated. Additionally, as couples age, the inevitability of declining health becomes a significant factor impacting their marital relationships. The reality of a husband snoring, health issues, or even chronic pain can disrupt the wife's sleep, robbing her of the restorative rest she desperately needs. This can create a cycle of stress and exhaustion for both partners, leading to irritability and emotional withdrawal. Physical ailments, while often unavoidable, can create barriers that lead to emotional distance and disconnect. Yet, amidst these challenges, there is a beacon of hope. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, Please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Recognizing and addressing these problems early on can be the key to healing. If the husband takes proactive steps to share responsibilities at home and shows genuine willingness to support his wife emotionally and physically, there is potential for their relationship to repair and flourish. However, should he choose to remain stagnant and neglectful, the wife's heart may slowly drift away, leaving their once strong marital bond hanging by a thread. In many cases, a happy marriage can be stifled by the practical difficulties of everyday life. The challenges of caring for grandchildren, battling chronic illness, or managing aging parents can weigh heavily on a couple. As they navigate the complex terrain of aging, new problems arise that can inadvertently erect barriers between them. Both men and women, as they reach middle age, may begin to feel the freshness of their relationship slip away. Their once vibrant hopes for a fulfilling marriage can start to fade, leaving behind a sense of disillusionment. Sensitive women, in particular, may find that their emotional landscape is shifting. Feelings of frustration towards their husbands can swell during this time. When their expectations are consistently unmet, the disappointment can become a heavy burden, leading them to question the very essence of their married life. As couples inevitably experience shifts in their mutual desires and emotional connections, they must engage in deep, meaningful dialogues. Resolving these shifts requires more than just casual conversations. It calls for an open heart and a willingness to explore the stresses and anxieties each partner is grappling with. By peeling back the layers of their interactions and delving into the emotional undercurrents, they can begin to reconnect on a more profound level. Without this mutual willingness to share vulnerabilities and provide support, the emotional distance between them will continue to widen, potentially leading to a heart-wrenching rupture that feels irreversible. For countless middle-aged women, the issue of sexual dissatisfaction is a prevalent concern. Studies have shown that women between the ages of 35 and 45 often experience an increase in sexual desires, a natural and beautiful aspect of the human experience. If you find yourself navigating these waters, feeling a surge of longing, know that you are not alone. This is a shared journey for many. Unfortunately, this heightened desire can clash painfully with a partner who may be experiencing a decline in libido, creating a frustrating disconnect. This misalignment leaves women feeling neglected and unfulfilled, as their physiological needs often go unmet. Over time, these unmet desires can morph into emotional suppression and frustration, causing women to view their marriage not as a source of joy and fulfillment but as a wellspring of fatigue and irritation. If this state of affairs continues unchecked, the emotional distance can widen, and women may increasingly feel discomfort towards their husbands, leading some to contemplate the devastating possibility of ending their marriage due to these unresolved frustrations. The weight of unfulfilled desires can feel insurmountable, pushing them towards feelings of inadequacy and isolation. The crux of these issues lies in the urgent need for couples to grasp and share the balance of their marriage before negative emotions spiral out of control. Instead of suffering in silence and allowing resentment to fester, they must engage in open and honest discussions to recalibrate their expectations and responsibilities. This proactive approach is crucial for reigniting the spark that once made their married life rich and rewarding. Women often find themselves comparing their husbands to those of others, wondering why other men seem to treat their partners with greater kindness and consideration. This tendency to compare can create a sense of frustration and inadequacy. It's essential to remember that the polished image of other families is often just a facade, concealing the struggles and challenges that many couples face behind closed doors. By recognizing that the perfect marriages we often envy are not without their difficulties, women can start to alleviate the burdens of comparison and embrace a more compassionate perspective toward their relationships. Ultimately, it is through understanding, empathy, and open communication that couples can navigate these complex emotions and work towards a renewed sense of connection and happiness in their marriage. By facing these challenges together, they can transform their relationship into one that not only survives but thrives, enriching both their lives and the lives of those around them. In this journey of marriage, every shared laugh, tear, and moment of vulnerability can become a stepping stone towards deeper intimacy, proving that with love, patience, and commitment, even the most challenging situations can be overcome. By fostering an environment of open dialogue and emotional support, couples can rediscover the love that brought them together in the first place, reigniting the flame of their connection as they continue to grow and evolve together. Especially in the early stages of marriage, the initial spark of love and consideration is often palpable. Husbands may go out of their way to show kindness and affection, which makes their wives feel cherished and valued. However, as time passes, many women may begin to perceive a decline in their husband's attentiveness and thoughtfulness. This shift can instill a deep sense of anxiety about the potential loss of love in their marital relationship. Such feelings of insecurity can become a significant factor in the tendency to compare their husbands to other men. For example, when women witness how their friends' husbands treat them with respect and care, it can lead to a painful realization that their own partners may not be meeting those same standards. This, in turn, can foster feelings of inadequacy and self-blame, prompting them to question their worth within the marriage. Bringing these feelings to the forefront in conversations with their husbands can be a delicate endeavor. Unfortunately, it often leads to high-stakes arguments characterized by emotional turmoil and misunderstanding. The very act of expressing their frustrations can create a cycle of mutual discomfort, further exacerbating the emotional distance that is creeping into their relationship. As frustration accumulates and the gap widens, the marriage can begin to feel suffocating, leaving women feeling trapped in a relationship that once brought them joy and fulfillment. What many women may not realize is that comparing themselves and their husbands to others only serves to magnify their own dissatisfaction. The image of other households appearing perfect is frequently just a facade, concealing the myriad of issues that each family faces behind closed doors. The truth is that most people do not reveal their own struggles or instability to outsiders. This lack of transparency can lead to the illusion that other families are inherently happier or more successful. Ironically, even the friends whose husbands seem to treat them better may feel inadequate in comparison to someone else's relationship. This tendency to compare breeds negative emotions and inadvertently drives a wedge between couples, creating a chasm that feels increasingly difficult to bridge. It is crucial to understand that instead of seeking unrealistic perfection, the goal should be to foster mutual understanding and acceptance. After all, marriage is not about comparing notes with others. It's about navigating life's challenges together. In many marriages, especially as the years go by, men often begin to neglect their appearance. The popular saying that marriage wears down the initial attraction holds a grain of truth, particularly when it comes to physical appearance. Husbands who were once fit and charismatic may gradually lose their physique due to unhealthy habits, such as excessive drinking or a disordered lifestyle that becomes a coping mechanism for stress. As life's pressures mount and the focus shifts to responsibilities, these men may find themselves gaining weight and presenting a more disheveled appearance. This shift can force wives to confront a difficult reality. The husband who once turned heads is now resembling a weary middle-aged man, and this change can be disheartening. However, it is vital to consider that while changes in appearance can influence a marriage, they are not the sole determinants of a strong relationship. While husbands may neglect their physical appearance, it is equally important for wives to adjust their expectations and perceptions. A husband's change in looks does not automatically equate to a cooling of affection. Rather, it is the ongoing effort both partners make to nurture their bond that ultimately determines the quality of their relationship. Men who were once dashing and charming may transform into less polished versions of themselves, with the burdens of life weighing heavily on them. Unfortunately, many men adopt the mindset that everything is stable once they are married, leading to complacency regarding their self-care and physical fitness. They may rationalize their choices by claiming they are allowing their wives to feel secure, yet this can often mask a deeper issue of neglect and a lack of self-management. If this attitude persists, it can have serious consequences for the marriage. Wives may begin to feel increasingly unfulfilled and, in some cases, may seek out attraction and connection elsewhere. It is essential for men to recognize that no woman wants to spend her nights beside an overweight, unkempt middle-aged man who no longer makes an effort to maintain his physique or lifestyle. Understanding the importance of self-management, even after marriage, is crucial for maintaining the respect and affection that wives need from their husbands. Neglecting one's health and appearance can lead to a monotonous and painful married life, filled with unfulfilled desires and emotional disconnect. Ultimately, the key to a thriving marriage lies in both partners' willingness to invest in themselves and in each other. Maintaining a healthy lifestyle, pursuing personal growth, and nurturing the emotional and physical connection can breathe new life into the relationship. Couples should strive to support one another, encouraging healthy habits while keeping the lines of communication open. By fostering an environment where both partners feel valued, attractive, and loved, they can navigate the challenges of marriage together, emerging stronger and more connected than ever before. Marriage is a beautiful journey, one that requires effort, patience, and a commitment to growing together. By addressing these challenges head-on and understanding the importance of self-care and mutual support, couples can rekindle the passion that initially brought them together, creating a fulfilling and lasting partnership that thrives even in the face of life's inevitable changes. Promote open and honest communication. Effective communication is the cornerstone of a healthy marriage. Both spouses must make a conscious effort to listen to and understand not only the minutiae of daily life, but also the deeper emotions and thoughts that often go unspoken. It's essential to carve out dedicated time for private conversations, moments where both partners can express their feelings without distractions. By creating a safe space to openly discuss their dissatisfaction and aspirations for improvement, couples can foster a culture of understanding and respect. Regular communication acts as a preventive measure against misunderstandings and the accumulation of resentment, allowing both partners to feel heard, validated, and supported. Share household responsibilities. To alleviate the burden often shouldered by wives, it is crucial for husbands to actively engage in household tasks, childcare, and even the responsibilities of caring for grandchildren. This not only lightens the wife's load, but also cultivates a strong sense of teamwork and partnership within the household. Establishing a clear plan for dividing responsibilities or alternating roles can foster cooperation and mutual respect. When both partners contribute equally, it reinforces their commitment to each other and creates a nurturing environment that promotes love and unity. Prioritize the health of oneself and partner. A healthy lifestyle is vital for both partners, and it's imperative to avoid the pitfalls of unhealthy habits like smoking or weight gain. Building a healthy lifestyle together can be a rewarding journey for couples. Engaging in exercise routines, preparing balanced meals, and scheduling regular health checkups are excellent practices that contribute to both physical well-being and emotional connection. As each partner becomes more health-conscious, it not only leads to physical improvements but also deepens the respect and admiration they hold for one another, reinforcing their emotional bond. Reignite romance and interest. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Reviving the romance in a marriage is essential to maintaining a deep connection. Couples can breathe new life into their relationship by preparing thoughtful surprises, cooking together, enjoying movie nights, or embarking on spontaneous trips. These small acts of joy, when incorporated into daily life, can work wonders in strengthening the bond between partners. Daily expressions of affection, whether through tender words or gentle touches, can reignite the spark that first brought them together, transforming mundane routines into cherished moments. Balance sexual desires and needs. As couples enter middle age, it is common for an imbalance in sexual desires to arise. Open discussions about each partner's expectations and needs are crucial for navigating these changes. If health issues contribute to difficulties, seeking professional advice can be a wise choice. By deepening emotional connections and addressing sexual concerns together, couples can enrich their married life, fostering an atmosphere of intimacy and understanding that enhances their overall relationship. Cultivate self-confidence and a meaningful life. Reducing dependence on each other while fostering personal growth is essential for a fulfilling relationship. Encouraging each partner to explore new hobbies, pursue personal goals, or engage in community activities can lead to significant individual fulfillment. Husbands finding new passions and interests not only enhance their own lives, but also bring fresh energy and positivity to the marital relationship. When both partners feel confident and self-sufficient, They contribute to a vibrant and balanced partnership. Avoid comparing with others. The temptation to compare one's marriage to those of other couples can be detrimental. It's vital for partners to focus on their unique relationship and identify ways to grow together rather than allowing external perceptions to breed dissatisfaction. Couples can learn from the strengths of successful relationships, but they should avoid falling into the trap of envy. Seeking the guidance of a counselor can provide valuable insights, helping couples navigate their challenges and cultivate a stronger bond. Seek professional help if necessary. When marital problems become overwhelming or too complex to resolve independently, considering couples counseling or therapy can be a proactive step towards healing. Engaging a professional can help couples uncover underlying issues and develop new, effective communication strategies. Therapy should not be seen as a sign of failure. Rather, it is a courageous step towards protecting and nurturing a happy future together. Seeking help demonstrates a commitment to the relationship and a willingness to invest in its longevity. In the next part of this exploration, we will share the authentic experiences of many couples, summarized through intimate short interviews. 4 middle-aged women will candidly share their real-life stories, offering valuable insights and reflections that resonate with anyone navigating the complexities of marriage. These narratives, filled with vulnerability and honesty, are not only realistic but also profoundly helpful, providing hope and guidance for couples seeking to strengthen their bonds. At 63 years old, I find myself reflecting on a life that has felt increasingly heavy over the years. My husband, now 65, and I have been married for an incredible 40 years, yet lately, I feel like a shadow of my former self. In the beginning, our marriage was filled with laughter and love, but as I crossed into my 60s, my affection for him began to wane. While others might perceive our marriage as a harmonious partnership, the truth is that internally, I dread the thought of sharing even one more day under the same roof with my husband. The man I once adored has become a stranger to me, his image so altered from my youthful memories that it has left a profound sense of disillusionment. When I was younger, I loved him deeply and believed wholeheartedly that we were destined to spend our lives together. His quirks and annoying habits, which might have bothered others, were easily overlooked by me. I embraced his flaws, thinking they were part of the charm of our relationship. But with the passage of time, my patience has worn thin. Each time my husband walks past me, a wave of irritation washes over me, a sensation I can't shake off. This discomfort has accumulated day by day, slowly morphing into a troubling blend of irritation and, ultimately, hatred towards the man I once loved. After I turned 60, I noticed my capacity for patience diminishing significantly. The very sight of him could stir feelings of frustration, leading me to wish he would simply disappear from my life. This prolonged discomfort and resentment made it increasingly difficult for me to find joy in my days, spiraling me into a dark pit of depression. The emotional toll became so overwhelming that I eventually required daily medication to help manage my feelings. I contemplated divorce numerous times, fantasizing about leaving everything behind, freeing myself from this heavy weight, and reclaiming a life of peace and solitude. Yet, reality painted a different picture. Divorce at this stage of life comes with its own burdens. The thought of gossip from neighbors and the potential fallout from my children, who have all established their own successful careers, held me back. I couldn't bear the idea of shaming them or jeopardizing their reputations, and this fear stripped me of the courage to even consider ending my marriage. Often, I find myself alone with my thoughts, pondering how I could harbor such deep-seated resentment for someone who was once my everything. The very sight of my husband feels like a lead weight in my stomach. It's as if food gets stuck in my throat whenever he is near. He has always been responsible with finances, giving me his entire salary and ensuring I never had to worry about money. Yet, despite this, he shows little to no initiative in sharing household responsibilities. The burdens of childcare and maintaining our home rest solely on my shoulders. Perhaps it is this overwhelming fatigue and the relentless weight of responsibility that has gradually dulled the love I once felt for him. Now, I find myself devoid of interest in this marriage, suffocating under the weight of unmet needs and unfulfilled desires. But how do I change this situation? The answer came to me a few years ago when both of my children welcomed children of their own. While I understood the struggles of balancing work and family life, I willingly stepped into the role of caregiver for my grandchildren. Initially, I found joy in helping my children, feeling fulfilled by the role of a nurturing grandmother. Yet, deep down, I also felt the loss of my own time, my own interests fading away as I invested all my energy into caring for them. Every day, I juggled the responsibilities of home, the needs of my grandchildren, and the demands of my job, feeling like a hamster running on a relentless wheel. I was perpetually busy, cooking, cleaning, and caring for my grandchildren, often to the point of exhaustion. There were days I was so drained that even standing felt like a monumental task. In those moments, I wished for my husband to take an active role, to watch the children for just a little while so I could catch a breath. Instead, he remained blissfully unaware, sprawled on the couch, engrossed in his smartphone, seemingly indifferent to my struggles. His days were a monotonous cycle of eating, sleeping, and watching TV, and my anger simmered beneath the surface until it finally erupted during one high-stakes argument. I confronted him, voicing my frustrations about his selfishness and thoughtlessness, hoping to invoke some semblance of empathy. But instead of offering an apology, he turned the tables and criticized me. "You said you would take care of the grandchildren on your own," he said dismissively, "so if you don't like it, why don't you just quit?" Those words cut deeply, as if he were belittling my sacrifices and dismissing my feelings entirely. The anger surged within me, and the urge to leave grew stronger. Yet, I knew that voicing this would lead to a massive confrontation, so I swallowed my words and endured. If he refused to help, I had no choice but to shoulder the burden alone, gritting my teeth and committing to my role as a caregiver. After years of this relentless cycle, I finally caught a break when my grandchildren returned to their parents for school. I imagined this was my moment. Time to breathe, time to reclaim my life. I fantasized about planning a trip for myself to rejuvenate and heal my weary spirit. But just as I began to dream of freedom, the weight of reality came crashing down. My husband's health took a sudden turn for the worse. Years of smoking had caught up with him, leading to a diagnosis of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. He required immediate hospitalization, and once again, I found myself thrust into the role of caretaker. The dreams I harbored of reclaiming my independence were eclipsed by the reality of managing my husband's illness. As I navigated this new set of responsibilities, I felt the clock on my personal freedom ticking away once more. The burden of caring for a sick partner began to weigh heavily on me. Just when I thought I might finally escape the long, exhausting days of caregiving, I was met with a new chapter of hardship. My husband's addiction to smoking had always been a point of contention between us, needing at least 3 packs a day to feel any sense of normalcy. Each morning, as soon as the sun's first light broke through, he would light a cigarette, inhaling deeply and exhaling slowly, as if the smoke were a lifeline. I had repeatedly suggested he cut back or at least try to switch to higher quality cigarettes, but he stubbornly resisted, clinging to his cheap brands. After years of witnessing his disregard for his health and my concerns, I eventually surrendered to his obstinacy, realizing there was little I could do to change him. As I faced this complex tapestry of emotions, love, resentment, fatigue, and a yearning for freedom, I find myself grappling with the reality that my marriage has become a source of both comfort and profound challenge. I long for the days when love flowed freely between us, but I am constantly reminded of the growing chasm that separates us now. Each day brings new challenges, and while I strive to fulfill my commitments as a caregiver, I also recognize the need to reclaim my identity and find a sense of peace within this turbulent journey. My hope is to navigate this path with grace, seeking understanding and perhaps, in time, a renewed connection with a man I once loved so deeply. When my husband was young, his smoking was a minor annoyance, something I tolerated and brushed off as a simple habit. But as the years passed, the toll it took on his health became undeniable. It started with a light cough here and there, but eventually, it grew into violent, uncontrollable fits, especially at night. Each cough rattled his body, and every time he struggled to breathe, a knot of worry twisted inside me. I wanted to ask him to quit, to plead with him to take his health seriously, but the words always felt stuck in my throat, as if saying them aloud would somehow change nothing. One night, as we were settling into bed, he began coughing with an intensity one hadn't seen before. His coughs grew more and more severe, his face turning an alarming shade of red, veins bulging across his skin. Panic gripped me as he gasped for breath, and I realized I couldn't wait. This wasn't just another one of his coughing fits. I called an ambulance, and at the hospital, my fears were confirmed. Years of smoking had taken their toll, and the doctors diagnosed him with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. They were clear and firm, warning him that if he didn't quit smoking immediately, his health would spiral downward into life-threatening danger. The severity of the situation hit me like a wave, filling me with worry and anxiety for our future. If he didn't quit, I knew I would be left alone, managing a life I no longer recognized, bearing the weight of my fears alone. For a moment, there was hope. The doctor's stark warnings seemed to shake something in him, and he promised to quit. I clung to that promise, desperate to believe that this could be the turning point. But after he was discharged and returned home, it didn't take long before I noticed signs of him slipping back into old habits. I hid every pack of cigarettes in the house, but it wasn't enough. He started sneaking out to buy them, hiding packs in the bathroom. When I confronted him, trying to appeal to his sense of self-preservation, he dismissed my concerns with a chilling indifference. "If I can't smoke at this age, what's the point of living?" he said. "I'd rather die than give up smoking." His words hit me like a punch to the gut, filling me with a storm of anger, sadness, and despair. I couldn't fathom how he could disregard not only his own health but the life we shared. Feeling helpless, I researched more about the effects of smoking and stumbled upon information about the dangers of secondhand smoke. Realizing that his habit could also be harming my health intensified my feelings of anger and resentment. I pleaded with him, begging him to think about the impact on both of us, but my words seemed to vanish into thin air. Over the years, the effects of his smoking had left visible marks on him. His once bright smile was now stained yellow, his breath heavy with an odor that lingered long after he spoke. His once tolerable habit had become a repulsive presence that I couldn't escape, and each interaction with him felt increasingly unbearable. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. As if the smoking weren't enough, his snoring grew louder and more persistent over the years, to the point where it sounded like a storm raging through the night. I asked him to sleep in the living room so I could get a moment's peace, but he stubbornly refused. "The bedroom is comfortable," he insisted. "Why should I move?" I tried to take my futon elsewhere, desperate for rest, but he would grab my arm, pulling me back and raising his voice loud enough for the neighbors to hear. Not wanting to provoke a full-blown fight, I resigned myself to the bedroom, enduring night after night of sleeplessness beside him. Each night, the unpleasant smell of cigarette smoke would seep into the sheets, leaving a stale odor that lingered by morning. Washing the sheets daily became part of my routine, a small attempt to cleanse myself of the pervasive stench. But the effort was exhausting, wearing down not only my body but also my spirit. The mental strain felt like a heavy weight pressing down on me, each night taking more out of me than the last. Talking to my friends brought some solace. Many of them shared similar struggles, complaining about how, as our husbands aged, they became more neglectful and detached, taking us for granted as if we were invisible. During these conversations, I felt a fleeting sense of comfort, knowing that I wasn't alone, that other women were shouldering similar burdens. But in my heart, I knew that these conversations couldn't change my reality or alleviate the deep-seated resentment that had taken root. The isolation I felt was profound, and the situation seemed inescapable. My husband's smoking, his disregard for his health, his snoring, and his lack of support had left me feeling suffocated, trapped in a marriage that no longer felt like a partnership but a prison. I no longer recognized the man I had once loved, and the life I had built around him seemed to crumble with each passing day. In moments of silence, I questioned how I had arrived at this point, how my life had become so filled with frustration and resentment. But despite everything, I found myself trapped in this reality, bound by the very commitment that once brought me joy. The weight of it all, of the years spent enduring, of the love that had turned bitter, of the dreams that had been set aside, pressed down on me with an intensity that was nearly unbearable. In those quiet moments, as I lay awake next to his thunderous snoring, I longed for a reprieve, for a life that felt lighter and freer. And yet, bound by duty and circumstance, I continued, one day at a time, carrying a heart heavy with memories of a love that had slowly faded away. When I was young, I believed wholeheartedly that my love for my husband would last a lifetime. I pictured us growing old together, welcoming a serene and happy old age hand in hand. But now, that once cherished love has withered, replaced by an overwhelming dislike that grows each day. The mere sight of him, the sound of his voice, feels unbearable. I no longer know if it's I who has changed or if he has, but all I am certain of is that my life now feels suffocating, each day a relentless cycle of enduring a life that feels more like a prison than a partnership. This is Yamada-san's story, a story that echoes the experience of many women who find themselves trapped in loveless marriages, forced to endure for the sake of appearances and family. Yamada-san, a 40-year-old woman, has been married for over 10 years. To the outside world, she and her husband seem like a couple who've weathered the years gracefully, appearing stable, maybe even happy. In the early days of their marriage, they were in love, deeply so. Her husband was attentive and caring, always thoughtful of her needs, and she trusted him completely. They would laugh together, share intimate conversations, and spend their days in the contentment of mutual affection. Yamada-san felt lucky to have married him, confident that their love would endure. But gradually, something shifted. It's hard to pinpoint when, but over time, her husband began to grow distant. The warmth in his eyes cooled, the kindness he once showed her evaporated, replaced with indifference and, sometimes, irritation. His voice lost the tenderness it once held. Instead, he often spoke to her with coldness or even raised his voice, leaving her bewildered and hurt. When she tried to ask him why he'd changed, he either dodged her questions with vague answers or lashed out, making her feel like she was the problem. Their once intimate nights, once filled with passion and connection, became mechanical, a ritual without emotion. What used to feel like an expression of love now felt empty, a mere duty, devoid of the warmth they once shared. The love Yamada-san once felt for her husband has now been replaced by an invisible wall, cold and impenetrable. Desperate for answers, she made the painful decision to check his phone, a choice that went against her values but felt like the only option left. What she found confirmed her worst fears. Her husband was involved with another woman. In that moment, her world crumbled. The betrayal felt like a sharp knife to her heart, a pain so deep it left her numb with shock and sorrow. She couldn't believe that the man she had trusted and loved with all her heart had hurt her so deeply. In the aftermath, Yamada-san wrestled with the thought of divorce. Countless nights she lay awake, tears streaming down her face, torn between ending a marriage that had become a source of misery and staying for the sake of her family. A part of her wanted freedom, to reclaim a life unburdened by betrayal and resentment. But then, thoughts of her young daughter would hold her back. She couldn't bear the idea of disrupting her daughter's childhood, of robbing her of a family with both parents. She wanted her daughter to grow up in a happy family, to feel safe and loved. So, Yamada-san sacrificed her own happiness, choosing to stay in a marriage that had lost its joy. Her husband, to his credit, ended the affair immediately, but the damage was done. The chasm that had formed between them was too deep to bridge, and though they shared a home, they had become little more than strangers under the same roof. Outwardly, Yamada-san maintains the facade of a normal marriage. She smiles, exchanges a few polite words with her husband, and pretends for her daughter's sake. But in reality, there is no true communication between them, no connection. Their conversations are reduced to the bare minimum, functional exchanges without warmth or understanding. They move through the motions of daily life as if they're strangers, cohabitants bound by duty rather than love. Even mundane topics are discussed out of necessity, without any of the depth or tenderness that once defined their relationship. For her daughter's sake, Yamada-san even continues to share the same bedroom with her husband. Yet, each time he moves closer, she feels a wave of revulsion, an instinctive response she cannot control. The emotions she once felt for him have long since transformed, replaced by a bitter mixture of hatred and contempt. Sometimes, she fights the urge to scream, to let him know just how deeply he has wounded her. But she holds back, aware that expressing her pain would accomplish nothing and would only create more tension, potentially harming her daughter, the one innocent in this painful equation. In moments of solitude, Yamada-san reflects on the life she now leads, questioning how love could turn to such profound resentment. She feels trapped, burdened by memories of a love that once filled her heart and a betrayal that has left it empty. Each day, she wears a mask for her daughter's sake, carrying the weight of a broken marriage, sacrificing her own happiness to preserve a semblance of normalcy. It's a quiet suffering, endured with grace and strength, but it's a life far from the one she once dreamed of, a life that now feels more like a sacrifice than a partnership. Tanaka-san often finds herself wondering how much longer she can endure this marriage, drifting through each day with a feeling of endless loneliness and pain. She questions whether it's she who has changed or her husband, but the answer eludes her. All she knows for certain is that her life has become a prison, a daily struggle to endure what feels like a life of suffocating disillusionment. At 42 years old, Tanaka-san has been married for 15 years she devoted entirely to her family. She poured her youth, energy, and every ounce of herself into making a home, into supporting her husband and children, managing every household chore, from cooking to cleaning to childcare. With unwavering dedication, she assumed that her sacrifices would be met with love, gratitude, and a sense of partnership. But reality delivered a harsh blow to her expectations. Her husband seemed only to pursue his own interests, showing no inclination to contribute or plan for the family's future. Instead of sharing in her commitment, he only brought home a meager income, leaving her feeling overwhelmed by a sense of helplessness and despair each time she saw his paycheck. She constantly finds herself questioning how her life ended up this way, wondering if she made some mistake along the path that led her here. Listening to the stories of her friends only deepens the ache within her. Their husbands cherish and appreciate them, showering them with affection on anniversaries and special days. They're taken on trips, given thoughtful gifts, and celebrated in ways that make them feel seen and loved. But Tanaka-san's marriage is a stark contrast. Her husband has never once offered her such gestures, not even on special days. Birthdays and anniversaries come and go, marked only by obligatory words, devoid of any heartfelt sentiment. Their home, old and worn, has remained unchanged for over a decade. While her friends move into newly built houses, buy new cars, and send their children to reputable schools, her family's circumstances remain stagnant. Each time she surveys her dilapidated surroundings, a sense of dread for the future settles over her, casting her hopes in shadow. Tanaka-san is not one to crave luxury or expect wealth from her husband. Her wishes are modest. She longs for a stable life with a responsible partner who works diligently, who shares her values, and who will provide for the family with a steady income. She isn't asking for lavish gifts or extravagant vacations. She only desires the security of knowing her husband is dedicated to the family's well-being. What she yearns for is a husband who takes his role seriously, who will protect and support their family. But each time she looks at her husband, who appears entirely content with his lack of ambition, her heart sinks. She watches as he drifts through his days with no goals, no plans, simply existing without regard for the future. His nonchalance, his utter lack of dissatisfaction with their situation, only amplifies her frustration. He believes that as long as they are getting by, there's no reason to strive for more. To him, life as it is seems sufficient, leaving Tanaka-san feeling that he's living a life devoid of purpose, a life that drains her sense of hope a little more each day. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, Please comment 4 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Sometimes, regret seeps into her thoughts, making her question why she married a man so indifferent to building a meaningful life. She can't find a satisfying answer, but with every day that passes, her resentment grows. She hates his complacency, his refusal to recognize that there are things that need changing. He seems so at ease with himself, radiating a self-satisfaction that feels like a slap to her efforts and sacrifices. But the hardest part for her to bear is her own reflection, the self she has become, trapped in a life she once hoped would be filled with joy and partnership. She despises herself for enduring this dead-end marriage, feeling as though she's imprisoned herself in a life she no longer wants. Reflecting on her own experience, Tanaka-san wants to convey a crucial message about the importance of nurturing love. She believes wholeheartedly that love and respect must be cherished by both men and women to avoid the heartache she endures. Love requires effort. It needs nurturing through small gestures and acts of consideration. If couples allow the little things to slip away, if they grow careless or complacent, the beautiful relationship they once had can slowly unravel without them even realizing it. Bad habits, when ignored, accumulate like dust in a neglected corner, creating a rift that only grows deeper over time. And when the cracks grow too wide and love fades entirely, all that remains is bitterness, anger, and regret. Tanaka-san has come to see that, in marriage, both partners must remain vigilant, nurturing their bond before it erodes beyond repair. When love is neglected and both partners stop trying, the relationship inevitably heads toward collapse, leaving only broken hearts and shattered dreams. From her experience, Tanaka-san sincerely hopes that others won't have to endure the same painful journey. She has come to understand that love doesn't thrive on its own. It requires conscious effort, intentional acts of kindness, and the willingness to cherish each other, even through life's daily routines. She believes that protecting and continuing to cultivate love is the only way to secure lasting happiness. And so, with all the wisdom gained from her hardships, Tanaka-san hopes her story will serve as a reminder, a call to action to cherish love while it's still alive, to nurture it through small acts of appreciation, to preserve it before it slips away. She hopes her story resonates, inspiring others to invest in their relationships, to protect the love that sustains a marriage, so that no one else has to endure the lonely path she now walks. As we reach the end of this powerful story, it's a moment to reflect on everything we've heard and felt. What has resonated with you the most? What have you learned from Tanaka-san's journey and her heartfelt message about love, commitment, and the effort it takes to nurture a marriage? Please take a moment to share one thing you've learned and will bring into your own life. Whether it's about cherishing small acts of love, prioritizing open communication, or striving to keep love alive, your insights could inspire others who may be going through similar experiences. If you found this video meaningful, please leave a comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories and reflections. Thank you for being with us, and let's continue to support each other on this journey of growth and understanding.